It really shouldn't take too long to figure out whether there's going to be a celebration or an altercation following a stock car race. What's the driver going to say? What are they going to do? How are they going to celebrate? Or how are they going to, fight? It happens. I mean, once that checkered flag falls, isn't that one of the most anticipated moments of any race? We picked some of our most memorable celebrations and altercations in NASCAR Cup history. And when it's over, please leave a comment on which one is your most memorable celebration or altercation, whether in the NASCAR Cup Series, Indy Cars, Xfinity, ARCA, you name it. It's your opinion. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in today for another new and exciting episode from Stock Car Facts, which we try to post every Tuesday at about noon, or you can watch some of our previous episodes. Here at Stock Car Facts, we would really love to recreate the race day sights, smells, and sounds that we first experienced for ourselves in 1974 at Michigan International Speedway. But unfortunately, that's not possible here. However, we can do the next best thing in that we can share with you what happened at these events, and we can talk to those people who created those memories. Or, those facts. So we'd appreciate it if you sit back and relax and enjoy this latest episode today of Stock Car Facts with me, your host, Kevin Schwarze. Oh, and by the way, later, you'll have a chance to comment on this content. And, if you haven't already, please hit the like button as well as the follow bell to be notified of brand new shows right here. And we'd appreciate it if you'd share this on all of your social media platforms. Thank you. Today on Stock Car Facts, David Pearson was leading the 1974 Firecracker 400, but everybody knew Richard Petty was going to put that drafting move on him. Until all of a sudden, coming to the white flag, Pearson jerked the wheel to the left, got out of the way. Petty shot past him, and coming into the fourth turn, Pearson passed him back, took the win. Petty, thinking Pearson had a problem, was not happy.
To show how much faster he was than the rest of us. Yeah.
They don't call him the Silver Fox for nothing. What was David's thoughts on the move?
If Richard had done that to you, would you feel a little insulted?
Well, if he'd done that to me, I'd have backed off and stayed right back.
In talking about the race years later, Benny Parsons, and trying to describe the engine under the hood of his Kings Row Chevy Malibu, stated they were basically junkyard parts. Perhaps in a payback move, Richard Petty motioned for Benny Parsons to follow him in the draft in the 1975 Daytona 500. Petty had mechanical problems throughout the race, and Parsons was having trouble keeping up with leader David Pearson. With only about 3 laps to go, Pearson tangled with Cale Yarborough, spun down the backstretch, and Benny Parsons won the race. During his victory lane celebration and that smile that went from ear to ear, the former Detroit cab driver kept stating, "I just can't believe it." Ricky Rudd had won a race in 15 straight seasons. However, driving for himself, things were getting a little tougher. Heading into the last few events of 1998, his tied Ford still hadn't pulled into victory lane. Martinsville, though, was a different story. However, his cool suit had quit working, and he blistered his back on his seat and gave his winner's interview from the ground. Richard Petty and Bobby Allison definitely knew how to give fans their money's worth. And fighting for the 1972 title, it all came to a head near the end of the season at North Wilkesboro. Both banging into each other, fenders clanging, tires rubbing, smoke billowing out from under each car, and Petty finally crossed the finish line first. When he stopped on the front stretch, he climbed out and handed his helmet to his brother Morris, while a fan came up and started yelling obscenities, and Morris, took that helmet and took matters into his own hands, and probably gave that fan something he'll never forget. In my time as a PR guy, anyone on my team or driver, my hard and fast rule was no confrontations, no politics, and no religion. However, things were a bit different back in 1982 when Bobby Allison won his second Daytona 500. First off, well, he's Bobby Allison. Second, there was no social media. So what did Bobby say?
Victor Lane Bobby.
Right, Ned, and I want to say I love Ronald Reagan.
Probably the only thing else to say about Dale Earnhardt breaking his seemingly endless losing streak in the 1998 Daytona 500 would probably be the words from the man himself.
The Daytona 500 is ours. We've won it, we've won it, we've won it.
Jeff Gordon was trying to become the first driver in 12 years to win the Winston Million. However, Jeff Burton had some other ideas at the 1997 Southern 500. Coming off of turn 4 with a couple laps to go, Gordon threw the block, Burton had to back off, and Gordon won the race. Burton was not happy, and what did Jeff Gordon say about it?
Block him, I'm sure he's not happy, but Jeff, $1 million, come on, buddy, what'd you expect?
Boy, talk about confrontation and celebration. At the 1989 North Wilkesboro race, Dale Earnhardt was dominating, but a late caution bunched the field and put Ricky Rudd right on his bumper. On the final lap, Rudd got underneath, both came together, spun out, and handed the win to Jeff Bodine. While the number 5 was in victory lane celebrating, both Rudd and Earnhardt's teams were confronting each other on pit road. What did they all have to say following the race? Well, let's have a listen.
I think we're discussing the weather. I believe that not really seen it on TV.
Well, how do you see it? You obviously were involved.
I gave him the whole bottom lane. He knocked the shit out of him. That's what I did.
Talk about confrontation. Most fans have seen the 1989 All-Star race between leader Darrell Waltrip and second place Rusty Wallace. To me, it looked like a racing incident, but Darrell Waltrip sure didn't see it like that, and in interviews, neither did Rusty Wallace. Here's what both had to say after the race.
It was a tough race. I'm sorry for Darrell. Glad we won.
I just hope he chokes on that 200,000. That's all I can tell him.
Near the end of the 2000 Pocono race, both Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jeremy Mayfield only took on 2 tires, which put them at the front of the field. Racing for the win, coming through turn 3, Mayfield bumped Earnhardt out of the way and took the win. Boy, talk about turning the tables. Huh, Jeremy?
I mean, he can't say a word, you know. I just want to rattle his cage a little bit, you know what I mean?
Not only was Jeff Gordon a tremendous race car driver, probably one of the greatest in all of NASCAR history, but he was also one that was prone to show emotion, and quite a bit of it. The 2015 Martinsville race, it was his last season, and he was trying to get into the chase. Well, he sure did it, and showed that emotion. At the 1999 Bristol night race, Terry Labonte was well out in front, but got spun, then pitted for tires, came back out, mired deep in the field, and it gave the lead to Dale Earnhardt. Labonte ran Earnhardt back down, passed him, and, well, you know what happened. What did the fans, Earnhardt and Labonte, have to say?
I wasn't going to wreck him, but I got to him and he turned him around, so didn't mean to really turn around, meant to rattle his cage.
Obviously, he said he planned to get up to you, had no intention of taking you out.
He never has any intention of taking anybody out. It just happens that way.
Back when the No Bull 5 was a thing, a fan entered a contest and was then paired with a driver, and both were eligible for a $1 million prize in select races. Dale Earnhardt won the 2000 Talladega race, and along with Richard Stearns, both won $1 million, and Earnhardt pulled him onto his car to celebrate with him. Referring to something through its ethnicity may not be too popular nowadays in this world of political correctness. However, when Ricky Rudd blew up at the end of the 1988 Phoenix race, and Alan Kulwicki passed him for the lead, heading toward his first ever Cup Series win, he wanted to do something celebratory that fans would never forget. What say you, Alan? Coining the phrase Polish victory lap.
That victory lap there is something I had thought about for a long time, and I wanted to do something special and never be another first win, and I just wanted to give them something to remember me by.
Late in the 2014 season, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, and Jeff Gordon were not only fighting for the Texas win, but a berth in the playoffs heading into Homestead. A late caution bunched the field, and when the green flag was thrown, Jeff Gordon went to the high side and left the lane open for Brad Keselowski. They got together, Gordon cut a tire, spun, pitted, and was taken not only out of the race, but out of the playoffs. When they parked on pit road, Gordon confronted Keselowski, and, from behind, Kevin Harvick pushed Brad into Gordon. Boy, talk about confrontation.
You know, I don't want to ruin anyone's day. Wanted to win the race, and that was our opportunity, and just didn't come together.
And it cut my left rear tire, and he's just a dip.
Who didn't shed a tear, along with Steve Park, when he won the very next race after the 2001 Daytona 500, a race which took his boss, Dale Earnhardt Sr. Park, a DEI employee and driver, held off Bobby Labonte at the line to win his second career Cup race. It was quite an emotional moment, to say the least.
Family, thank God for this. He's been with us all weekend.
Boy, talk about a celebration. The King, Richard Petty, going for win number 200, having the first sitting president to attend a NASCAR race come and visit you in the press box and help you celebrate that milestone win. Ronald Reagan, running for re-election, a Republican like Petty, gave the command to fire engines from Air Force One and then arrived at the track while the race was going on. In the later stages, Kier Yarbrough ran down the 43, and with 3 laps to go, a caution came out. Everyone knew this would be the finish. Well, as both banged doors coming through turn 4, Petty beat the 28 to the line and recorded the iconic win that we all know today as number 200. Reagan talked about his sports days as a radio broadcaster, and Petty was anxious to greet the president.
Announcer was mainly baseball and football and a few things like swimming and that sort of thing, because I was having an awful lot of laps after I got here when I was trying to figure out who was where.
In the United States, this is the first one that's ever showed up at a racetrack. So everybody's got to go from that, from racing standpoint, and I wanted to be the one that was able to welcome him to Grand National Racing.
Right before the 2003 Talladega race, NASCAR gave teams the option to install a roof hatch in case their driver wanted to use it as another way to escape a troubled race car. After a nasty Elliott Sadler flip on the backstretch, Michael Waltrip led a pack of snarling racers to the start-finish line, and gee, guess who popped out the hatch to celebrate win number 4? If anyone knows how to celebrate, boy, it sure is Dale Earnhardt Jr. But who could blame him after the events that unfolded during the 2001 Daytona 500, in which his father lost his life? Well, Dale Jr. came back and won that year's Firecracker 400. And, whoa, celebrate he did. This may be one of the best of all time. Thank you to all of our great friends here at Stock Car Facts for your views, for your shares, for your comments, and for hitting that notification bell. Some have asked how they can get involved further, and we always say, please follow these links to partner up with us financially. When you do, we'll send you some really cool racing swag and souvenirs that we have accumulated over the years. Either way, thank you for your support, and we'll see you here on Tuesdays around noon. As always, special thanks to a true racer and friend of this page, Mark Wright.